talk about ENFJs and INFPs in a relationship. So if you are an ENFJ or an INFP and you're dealing with the other one, this is going to be a very beneficial video, and this is something that I have a lot of experience with. I have several ENFJs in my life, one being my wife. What's up, Game Changers? Sherman here from Geek Psychology, helping you find your true character and level it up so you can play life better. Relationships can be difficult. They can be very rewarding. And whenever you are in a relationship with any personality type, there are going to be things that you both do really well. There are going to be areas that you crash and places where you bump heads. And it's part of life. It's part of the experience. And obviously the health level of both people is going to be a massive impactful factor. You can have the best combination of two different personality types, but if one person is not healthy, or if both people are not healthy, and they're stuck in loops and grip and all these patterns of non-beneficial states, using resources and different aspects of themselves in not a good way, then you're going to clash. You're going to butt heads and things are not going to be as smooth and pretty as they could. So with this, the first thing I want to talk about is just the general layout of the two personality types, ENFJ, INFP. Both of you are intuitives. Both of you are feelers. That's good. You generally see the world in the same way. You generally make decisions in the same way, right? You see the world through patterns and through connections and the ideas, the imagination, what's going to happen here, kind of like reading into the situations. It's not generally a getting into my body type situation. And also feelings, right? You're going to be making decisions based on how it's going to impact people. Right? People are the main focus, and the harmony within the group is the main focus. In a perfect world, that works out very nice. But also, there are some issues with that too, right? You generally have a blind spot with sensory stuff, or it's kind of a weaker area for both of you. You also, thinking, logic, and objective-based decisions, and taking in all the metrics and the data is something where both of you are probably going to struggle a bit, because it's both your inferior functions. And also kind of an aspiration. And also extrovert and introvert. So generally the ENFJ is going to have more desire to do stuff and get a quicker feedback, a little, faster response. They're more offensive in that sense. Not offensive, offensive. And the INFP is going to be generally more reserved and detached, defensive, going to want to look at things a little bit more and kind of understand it and study it a bit before engaging with it. Because if you, as an introvert, if you engage in something that you don't really understand and you get some more feedback about it that doesn't mesh with how you understand the world, it's pretty taxing. You have to go into yourself and you have to redo this puzzle of what it means to be alive. For extroverts, it's more like, and I don't want to simplify it too much, but it's more like I'm going to take an action and I get new feedback, and now that new feedback is easier to respond to and going to be, I don't want to say more cherished, but this is what life is. This is how other people see the world, and this is what's going on, and I'm in that context right now, and this is what it is. Going inward for an extrovert is where your demons are. For an introvert, going outward into the world is where the demons are. And then you also have judging and perceiving. So before we get into cognitive functions, judging is going to generally, be people who want to make decisions based on what is going on around them. They want more order and control of the outer world. They're the executors. They're the controllers. Like, whether you think that's a good positive word or not, I'm not trying to debate that. It's a word that fit with me for how I see what judges are trying to do. You're trying to create order and structure in the world. And that means generally control. You want to get control of the outer world so that your inner world is more peaceful, so that you can let it go where it needs to go, so that, as my mentor said, you can let your mind, you can wander the gardens of your mind. And perceivers are the opposite. We want things to be a little bit more spontaneous. We want to start a project with a lot of energy, and then we get distracted, we go do something else, and then right before it's due, we put all that energy in and get it done. Whereas a judge is more likely to be like, okay, this is what I got to do, I'm going to do it. And then I can relax after because I've set up the perimeters and the zombies are not going to come in. Does that make sense? You got the wall all taken care of, so you don't need to worry too much. Whereas a perceiver is more like, when they come in, we'll deal with that. But right now, I'm doing this other thing. This has got my focus. So if we get into the cognitive functions here, this is where a lot of the heavier dynamics come in, and I'm going to do my best to simplify it and keep it as quick as possible. So for the ENFJ, use extroverted feeling as your dominant function. It's like this unifying envoy, ambassador-like character, right? Going out there and bringing people together and seeing what the health bars are at, seeing what the alliance meters are, and like seeing how these different people are seeing whatever situation it is and proactively engaging in that to create harmony, to unify people. The INFP uses introverted feeling, and that is flipped the other direction. It's looking inward to see what is going to make the most harmonious decision within me. This is kind of like the resonating empath type character. So it's what feels right to me, what resonates with me, what choices, largely based on emotions and values and things like that, are going to connect with who I am as a person. And when I take an action, how is that going to vibe with me? And going from there, we both go into an intuitive character. The ENFJ uses introverted intuition. The INFP uses extroverted intuition. So this is a common pattern throughout the whole dynamic, throughout the whole stack, which is why we do get along really well, but there are also some clashes. So the auxiliary function, for the ENFJ is introverted intuition, and that's kind of like the visioning mystic. It's this long-range, future forecasting look at the world. It's shifting your focus, seeing it from different perspectives. Within the brain, it's this meditative whole brain state that synthesizes an insight into what's going to happen. And it's likely going to be true. It's not always, but a lot of times it is. My wife can always tell, like, when somebody is feeling or thinking something, this person's pregnant, this person is this person likes you, this person is feeling this is not a good person. She gets these like really sure readings, these knowing readings about what the other person is feeling or their intent in a different way than I do. I use extroverted intuition. It's like this innovating explorer-like character that wants to go out and see the world and push the buttons and see what happens and shake things up, throw a bomb into the mix and just see what happens. As an introvert, that pushes me out of my comfort zone a lot, listening to that voice. It's the most leverageable point for growth, but it's difficult. And same for the ENFJ. Going inward is difficult. But going back to what I was just talking about, when I read somebody's intention, usually I base it off my own self and my own understanding of who I am as a person, and then I bounce off and speculate from there. And I tend to view everybody as having good intention. I know that they don't, but that's just the frame that I look at the world from. And so a lot of times I'm like, no, that person wouldn't do that. That person wouldn't think that or say that. And, I'm wrong quite often. What's up with this plane, though? So it's a very strange back and forth that we have quite often with that. I just assume that they're okay, they're fine, they're a good person, whatever. Their intentions are their intentions, and I also don't generally care too much unless it's going to conflict with one of my values, or it's going to hurt somebody, which also conflicts with one of my values. There's not a lot of just this synthesizing of all the data points and focusing it on one thing. And it's like lasers going everywhere back and forth, and sometimes it's going to hit, sometimes it's not, but it's rapid exploration of ideas connected to the inner workings of people. For me, from the INFP, and for the ENFJ, for my wife and other ENFJs, it's reading what is socially expected, what are all these actions, and why is this person not doing or doing the thing that should be done or should not be done. And then she focuses all that data down into one insight. Also with the auxiliary function, and this is a general theme as well, but ENFJs use introverted intuition, right? So it's synthesizing, it's trying to reduce the complexity of ideas in ways. I guess it gets more and more complex when you get more nodes and all this other stuff, but it's trying to go down to one focal point. Extroverted intuition, it's creating new things and spreading out the whole time. And I've noticed a lot of personal conflict between us when I'm like, well, have you thought about it like this? Could be this, could be this. What about this? Just throwing out ideas because that's what I would want. And that's what I'd like to do because it's my auxiliary function. It's that mentor-like companion supporting character within myself. And that directly butts heads with introverted intuition, which is saying, no, that's a waste of time. Let's synthesize it. Then we go into the tertiary function, the newbie kind of character. This is not the supportive growth state. This is the one where we go to kind of when we're afraid, when the world's telling us something that we don't want to hear, and we just want to keep doing it in the same way that we've always done. We want some validation for our decisions. We generally look to that. It's a good place to be in ways. Every aspect of yourself has its strengths and its benefits, and yet a lot of times this comes out in a way it trips us up a little bit. So for the ENFJ, this is extroverted sensing. I've made a video on this before. This is when this is getting into your body. It's that engaging adventurer type character that just wants to experience life and live life now for what it is. Doesn't want to do all that visioning and looking for insights and all that stuff. Doesn't trust the mystic nature of the world. It's just let's just do it. Let's take an action, whatever it is. My wife really loves hot baths and things like that, and being outside. She's generally pretty quick to take an action instead of thinking about all the different possibilities and synthesizing those to the perfect course. It's more I'm just gonna do it, see what happens. Should have trusted my intuition on that one, which is a constant theme that we go through. I'm not trying to say that I'm how do I word this, more experienced in any way, but I have been living in Japan for a long time, which intentionally pushed me out of my comfort zone. So I have, I think, a pretty good relationship with my extroverted intuition. She doesn't always. She trusts it when it's really important, But just through daily life, it's just so much easier to take an action. It's so much quicker. It keeps you in the extroverted realm of things. And for me, as an INFP, it's introverted sensing. Introverted sensing is that stabilizing guardian. It's the one that's taking the experiences, capturing them, looking over them, reviewing, recalling them, and bringing out information that you can implement. It's like checking in with your past, comparing, contrasting, and then using that to go forward, to take the right steps forward, and in a way that you've already done, so you're not reinventing the wheel and things like that. For an INFP, it comes out a lot of times through like comfort zone, like physical comfort zone. For everybody, the tertiary function is your comfort zone, but for INFPs, it's like literally comfortable couch zone. This is what keeps us INFPs from going out a lot. It makes us homebodies a lot of times, makes us hobbits and hermits, is that energy. Because we're afraid of exploring and seeing what could happen and how that's going to change our understanding of who we are as people. So when push comes to shove, we eat the same food a lot of times. We do the same things. We have the same habits. Watch the same TV shows or whatever it is, and don't necessarily shake things up a lot of times unless we're very intentional about it. And so you can see right there, the ENFJ, when they get a little flustered, they take an action. And then that action is generally, in terms of with people, it's to get everybody feeling the same emotion at the same time. So if they're angry about something, it brings up anger in the other people intentionally. If they're happy about something, it's like, let's all be happy right now. Let's get into a physical experience that's going to lift our moods and have some fun. And ENFJs are very good at reading people and doing that. For the INFPs, it's like this stabilizing guardian is going to keep me within myself and keep me safe and comfortable and protect myself, protect my decisions and what makes me special about myself. And the last two we're going to talk about here. This first one is the inferior function. Then from there we're going to go to the fifth function, and that's where we're going to stop. So with the inferior function, ENFJ use introverted thinking. This is that analyzing, adept, or wizard-like character, whatever genre you're going for. And this is like getting really fine-tuned on logic. And so this introverted thinking aspect to yourself, this maverick-like energy that's against the party, right? As an ENFJ, you want everybody to be together and bond, and introverted thinking can come out in ways of like, I know this is true because I have this information and it makes sense, and that's just what it is. And you hyper focus, you double down on that, and that's when you get really critical of people. That's when you bring out flaws in other people's way of acting and how that causes conflict within the group and things like that. This door is driving me nuts. I think I fixed the door. I don't think it's going to slam anymore. So extroverted feeling is unifying, right? It's the unifying envoy. It's the one that's going out there and bringing people together. But analyzing is the opposite of unifying, right? It's separating things. It's making distinctions of it and saying, this is what I think. This is what I understand. This is what I know to be true against other people. So that's how it comes out in a lot of negative ways. Of course, it has beneficial things too. Let me know when you find them. For the INFP, extroverted thinking is the strategizing commander. It's the one that is making the plans, and it's creating the control and executing on it in the outer world. It's marshaling the resources. It's delegating tasks. It's getting all these things working together so that you can achieve your goals. For the INFP, it's not an easy place to be a lot of times. It takes a lot of energy away from you to create these plans, to follow the checklist, and to go forward in life in that one direction and not change based on how you feel, not change based on the mood or any new information that's going to make you feel in conflict with whatever the decision was. So that's something that it's always going to be a struggle for INFPs. You can gain more and more control over it. You can find techniques. You can build more rapport with that character. But it's always going to be kind of a weakness, right? So when the ENFJ is asking what you want to do or what do you want to eat, and the INFP is just like, I don't know. Anything's okay. Whatever's fine. And the ENFJ is trying to merge with you. The ENFJ is going to likely want to do the same thing that you want to do because they want to create a nice experience for everybody. They want their decision to be also your decision, like on the same level. Not always, yes, these are kind of stereotypes, but it happens a lot of times. And as an INFP, we generally don't know unless we know. When we know about something, we've made a decision, we know how it feels kinesthetically within us, and we have that gut feeling about it, then we can make a quick decision. But until that point, it's like, well, whatever's cool. I don't really mind. Whatever's fine. ENFJs, please remember, if we do make a decision, please honor that decision, because it took a lot of effort to do that. It took a lot of feeling through ourselves, I guess feelings down here, feeling through ourselves, and then pushing it out into a decision with words and choices and objectives. So please honor it if we do make that decision. And INFPs, make more decisions. It'll be beneficial. And the last part I want to talk about here is the fifth function. I consider it like a rival. It's you're both doing the same thing, right? So for an ENFJ, it's introverted feeling. It's what the INFPs lead with. And for the INFP, it's extroverted feelings. So it's what the ENFJs lead with. You're both trying to make feeling decisions that make people happy and harmonious. That's what you're looking at to make your decisions. It's just like a pirate going on the same quest. It wants to get the treasure, but it's a different pirate crew. It's a rival. It's not an enemy. It's not a nemesis. It's just the way that, it's like we're going here. We're both going on this thing. And yeah, we might feud because we both want ourselves to win. It's not the ultimate enemy of life and death. It's not a demon. It's not your eighth function. At least that's how I see it for me. So I've mentioned before, for ENFJs, introverted feeling comes out as like really selfish and not expressive, because that's what it is. It's like, it's very self-contained. An extroverted feeling just doesn't really like that. You as a unifying envoy, you can't bring everybody together if one person is not budging, if one person is being stubborn because of something that they feel strongly about, right? That doesn't get everybody together. That causes problems within the system, the human system. And for INFPs, extroverted feeling comes out as like really superficial. And I know it's not, but that's how it feels. A lot of times it's like, why would you care about what other people are thinking or doing or saying or whatever the cultural rules are? Like, do what you feel is right deep inside. And so a lot of times we butt heads with that too. As I said, it's, introverted feeling does not express itself a lot. So I've butt heads with my dad, who is an ESFJ, my mother-in-law, ESFJ, my wife, ENFJ, my friend, ENFJ, from not expressing gratitude, from not saying like, thank you, like this is amazing, or this tastes so good, this is great. Like for me, it feels like I have to act. And although it's true, I say, this is great, thank you. I say, it tastes good. If I didn't feel it, I wouldn't say it. But a little bit more energy into it would definitely be beneficial, and it would make the ENFJ feel better. So that's where it's coming from the INFP side. So what do you think about this kind of video? It's kind of rambly, a little bit all over the place, but it does follow a general format. There's just so much information with these relationship types that how do you condense it into a 5-minute video? I could just talk about ENFJ, INFP, and that's it. I could just talk about the dominant function. But there's just so much to talk about. So please let me know if this video was helpful, what you found to be beneficial. If you're an ENFJ or an INFP in a relationship with the other one there, what's your experience with it? And what are you thinking? How did anything I say really hit the nail on the head? You're like, that's what it is. That's the issue. Please let me know. And if you know any tips or tricks, let me know too, because I'm always up for bettering my life and my relationships as well. So if you're interested in more INFP videos, you can check them out over there. More relationship videos over there. Keep up the lifelong questing. Good luck, have fun. Peace.